Polygamy, the Six Nations, and love triangles. What have they got to do with each other? You're watching Distractor Sports. Lift that like button above your head in triumph, and let's take a weird trip into how my brain processes and follows rugby. Being a rugby fan at times is like being a Mormon. Now, I'm not talking about the devout faith in God, pestering people when they wake up hungover in the morning, or that weird bit about not being allowed to drink tea. What I'm talking about is the polygamy bit. You know, the good stuff. Now you may be asking yourself, what the f*** are you on about, Tony, you fat git? Get back to some terrible dick pun or say something mean about whales, you poor man squidge. And you know what I would say to that? You know, that's pretty hurtful. Maybe you have a point though, you know, maybe I can use this as a bit of a wake-up call. You know, I've put on a couple of kilos lately. Yeah, well, I didn't want you to get all upset, man. I just wanted to know how being a rugby fan is like being a polygamist. The polygamy thing. Well, like a polygamist has their second or third or more wives, we all have our second or third teams. The teams we support when our main squeeze gets kicked out of the comps, or the teams we support due to heritage or time spent in a country, or maybe we just simply like the way they play. Fun fact though, there are actually more men in the world who don't enjoy receiving blowjobs than there are people on this planet who have England as their second favourite team. I'm here to educate too. Now, for me, the All Blacks are my main squeeze, till I die, motherfucker. But Ireland is definitely my number 2 because of my family's roots. My last name is O'Sullivan, for God's sake, and I did a DNA test recently that not only did confirm that I was 100% that bitch, but it turns out that I'm 75% Irish in my DNA, which is a fair bit. Now, having Ireland as a second team is pretty good, apart from when they do the unthinkable and repeatedly beat the All Blacks, to the point that my second team is clearly better than my number 1 team, that is ranked number 3. It's as irritating as a hornet in your underwear using your testicles as a pincushion. Now, my third team was Wales, and this was due in large part to having dated a Welsh girl for 4 years and getting swept up in her passion for the team. And when the Welsh won, you know, she was happy, and you know what they say, happy de facto partner you live with in sin, happy life. And over the years I spent a bit of time over there and I fell in love with the awesome country and the amazing people. And before you knew it, I was saying things like Cymru am byth and meaning it. Now, this was in my 20s, and this year I'll be officially starting to shortlist retirement villages as I turn 40. So it's been a while since my love affair with Wales, but something very odd happened while watching Scotland versus Wales. Unbeknownst to me, I was pulling for Scotland. I was in awe of their awesome performance against the English the week before, and I knew it had been so long since they started their Six Nation campaigns with back-to-back wins. Then the whole Doddy Weir Cup thing got me right in the feels, and I was rooting for them. I just didn't know it. But the moment that gave me this sudden realization was when Stain scored from that filthy flick pass. And it put them in a very comfortable position in the second half. I clapped my hands together and said, F yeah. It was at that moment it dawned on me, oh shit, I'm a Scotland fan. And as the Scottish team piled on more points against the Welsh team that looked as though they couldn't dry the dishes properly, let alone win an international test match, I celebrated with each additional try and marvelled at the world-class quality that was clearly on show in the Scotland side. And I felt myself falling in love. And there is nothing like the excitement of new love. Now, I'm a newbie to the Six Nations, but even from down here in little old Auckland, New Zealand, I could feel the magnitude of what the Scots were achieving. Starting their campaigns with 2 wins on the bounce for the first time, retaining the Calcutta Cup by sending Borthwick's army away to think again, and then winning the Doddy Weir Cup, which I said before, it really felt special. As the game came to its conclusion, I did what a lot of people do with new loves. I started to fantasize. I fantasized maybe this is their year they could win the Six Nations. Perhaps they could go on and get a win over the French, who despite being a team full of superstars, have been made to look somewhat human over the past couple of weeks by the Italians and the Irish. Maybe they could do the unthinkable and win a goddamn Grand Slam! Then, like the sudden realization you get when you're in a committed relationship and you've been flirting too hard with someone at the work Christmas party, I thought, what about Ireland? Yes, Ireland, my other team, my ancestral homeland, the team that is firmly my number 2 but is the number 1 ranked team in the world. Despite me always believing throughout my life they were a bit shit, they now have the wood on the All Blacks since they got their first win in 2016 over them. And last year simultaneously kicked me in the nuts and made me feel very proud after their historic Test match series win in New Zealand. The Irish in recent World Cup cycles have looked like the bee's nuts between tournaments, but just seem to lose steam as they enter the World Cup year itself. Not this year. Their defence has the steely fury of an Irishman who's been served a badly poured pint. Their ability to look so composed in all situations and show no signs of rust after coming back together after a 3-month break from Test footy is particularly encouraging. They look like a team with an unshakable belief, knowing that they will win if they stick to the game plan and trust each other as much as a BDSM partner trusts somebody else with the safe words, "Just cut my balls clean off." Did that make sense? I'm not sure. Yes, and they are my second team. As the very blood of that nation flows in my veins, I really want them to have an outstanding Six Nations. And for the sake of sweet Jesus, Mother Mary, and all the saints, including Richie, I want them to reach at least a semi-final in the Rugby World Cup. Side note, the most heartbreaking thing for someone in my position is that there is a very high likelihood my main squeeze, the ABs, will face the Irish in a quarter-final. And yes, I will want the boys in black to trounce the boys in green if that occurs, but I'll be a bit sad afterwards. Side note, the most unrealistic thing about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is the fact that the Irish reached the final of the Quidditch World Cup. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, the Irish. I'm a fan. They are special to me, and they make me feel things for whatever reason. But like an unfaithful lover, I just can't get this year's Scottish team out of my head. They're like a shiny new toy. They just get me. And as I've stated on mine and Mark's podcast, 2 Cents Gets Distracted, then when that try was scored, when Stain went over,
you got converted to a Scotland fan.
I went, fuck it. And just like many new relationships, I've got people who have known them for a while telling me their bad news, and they'll only break my heart. But I'm not going to listen. I'm going to ride this new relationship fluff for as long as it will take me. Isn't new love great? Now, the Scots have a tall task ahead of them, but fans of theirs should dare to dream. Next up, they got the task of beating France at the Stade de France, which is about as hard as a virginal 25-year-old's cock on his wedding night. You'd be able to cut diamonds with that thing, son. They will definitely go into that game as underdogs, but I just can't help thinking, going off recent form and this weird magic dust that seems to be on them right now, that they can do it. I don't know about you, but as I'm saying this, I can't help but hear the Rocky theme in my head. I would play it, but YouTube would donkey punch me and demonetize me, so we'll have to settle for whatever nondescript elevated music is playing in the background. Yeah, whatever that is. So, if Scotland do the unthinkable and get up over France, assuming the Irish don't banana skin the Italians, we would have an incredibly tasty game which will probably decide the Six Nations and bring both sides tantalizingly close to a Grand Slam. Now, who would I support if this dreamland scenario arose? Well, I really don't know. The underdog tale of Scotland would be pretty wildly intoxicating for someone who, despite having a couple of allegiances to the sides, is essentially neutral. It would be amazing to see Scotland go all Han Solo, and despite the overwhelming odds against them, get their own piece of history for a country that has been pretty barren on rugby achievements for a very long time. But then again, Irish blood runs through my veins. But in a shocking twist, my next biggest DNA group is Scotland, with 12% of my DNA. I guess to conclude this rambling mess, Ireland, I think you've got the goods this year to not only get through the quarterfinals, but for me, you're my favourite to win the whole damn World Cup. And Scotland, dare to dream. Because for my money, you've got that undefinable little bit of magic that this year maybe, just maybe, you could achieve greatness beyond your wildest dreams. Or maybe you've just picked up one more fan down here in the South Pacific. Or maybe I should just think again. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, comment below. If it makes you feel good, call me a shit squidge. I don't mind, it's all good. Go check out Mark and I's podcast, 2 Cents Gets Distracted. Follow me on Twitter at Tones88. Be kind to each other out there, brothers and sisters. Ha-de-da. Why do I do that?